my name is Rutendo Nyamuda, and welcome to another extraordinary episode of In My 20s. In My 20s. So today's episode is all about running. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear this conversation about the physical side of running, but also the mental discipline it takes to be a runner. Also in this discussion, we look at the parallels between running and life itself, which is so beautiful. So without further delay, let us introduce our latest guest onto the In My 20s podcast and into the In My 20s family. Here he is.
Hi, my name is Tanaka Mutakwa. I'm a software engineer by profession, but my goal in life is to be a polymath.
Now, on every episode of the In My 20s podcast, my guests always come through with these phenomenal mind moments or gem moments, and this is just one of them.
A lot about running is literally a metaphor for life in itself. So starting and finishing something, right? So seeing things through, finishing strong, that's like in running.
The In My 20s podcast is split up into 3 sections. In the first section, we get to hear a little bit more about Tanaka's career journey. In the second section, we dive into today's topic, which is all about running beyond breaking point. And then rounding up all 3 sections is a conversation on Tanaka's 20s journey. So without further delay, let's get straight into it. So can you give us a little bit of insight into what you studied at varsity and what you are currently doing? What has your career journey been?
Cool. So I studied computer science at UCT, 2008, 2010, exposing my age a bit there. After that, I started working at Allen Gray as a software developer or software engineer. Terms get interchanged. And I worked there for 4 years. Left Allen Gray and I've been working at Prodigy Finance. This is my 5th year there. Similarly, playing the same role as a software engineer. So software engineer, programmer, sort of same thing. My life is writing code, speaking to machines. Building apps and websites that most people use. So sort of the back end behind that. Yeah.
And so over and above your software engineering, computering life, you started a company called, I think it's called No Days Off, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this whole thing where you just have to hustle, you have to go for it 100%, give your all. How did you start that? Why did you start that? Where is the company now?
Cool. We can talk a bit about that. So to start with, No Days Off can be interpreted in different ways. So I've met people who are like, I don't believe in that. You need a rest and everything. But at the fundamental level, No Days Off is really a company set up to inspire and motivate people, sort of so that they can push towards their goals and dreams. And the catchphrase, No Days Off, the idea behind it was about consistency. If you want to do something or you want to be great in something, if you can do it at least every day or put enough effort to be consistent in it, then you can get there. So how it started, it's a bit of like a long story, but it starts with like, it was a hashtag on Twitter that we played around with a couple of friends just after I'd finished university, but I was still studying, and some of them were studying. So when we were studying, we just like hashtag I'm on the grind, no days off.
Yeah.
And it was one of those guys' birthdays was coming up, so we decided to give him a surprise birthday gift, my brother and I. So we took the No Days Off hashtag and made a T-shirt that had No Days Off the words.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we sent it to him. He was studying at UP, University of Pretoria at the time, and he received that. And after he received it, he was so happy. He took a photo and put it on Twitter. He's like, thank you so much to Tanaka and his brother. I'm so happy, No Days Off. And then all these other friends at University of Pretoria and other people who were part of that hashtag are like, we want ours.
It's quite evident that you do so much running. Like, you are obviously a quintessential runner. You obviously call yourself a runner? Like, there's no doubt about that.
Yes, I've started calling myself a runner on my Instagram bio.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's official now. When it's on your Instagram bio, that's when it's like 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to call yourself a runner? Because I feel like you've been running for such a long time. I don't know what you're running away from. We'll talk about that. But I feel like you've been running for a while.
Yeah. I don't know. I think 3rd year into running, I eventually updated and said runner.
Okay.
Because I always saw it as runner is pro runners.
Okay.
Then after you get to like a certain level, at least when I got to a certain level of running, I was like, okay, maybe it's safe now to call myself a runner.
Okay.
I'm not pro at all because obviously like I said earlier, I've got a full-time job and everything.
Okay.
But I think running is now part of my lifestyle. So it's safe to say runner on my bio.
Okay. How did you start running? Why did you start running? and just a little bit about your running journey, which we'll probably tackle a little bit later. But first of all, like, how and why did you start running?
So there's two parts to it. The first part is I've always played some form of sport, right? From like high school, so played rugby, played cricket, did athletics. What we called long distance at that time was like I did 800 meters and 1,500 meters. And I ran cross country, which we thought was like so long, but was like 3Ks or something. Yeah, so I like basically participated in that, and sort of I've always had an interest in sport anyway. So even outside of participating, like I watch soccer, I watch rugby and everything. So that's the one part, which is like I didn't just wake up like out of like no movement at all, and then I just started running. I think it was in 2015, so 2015. Beginning of the year, you're sitting down, January, New Year's resolutions. You're like, you know what, it'll be cool if I can do one race a month.
Yeah.
And I can get 12 medals at the end of the year.
Oh, wow. And that was 2015, so that's only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That you literally started running.
Yeah. So prior to that, I'd done like 2 or 3 races, like random. Someone's like, hey, there's like gun run happening. Let's just go. And
like the fun walks, like the fun run.
I did the fun 5K for 2 Oceans that happens the day before.
What?
When I've done like 3 or so races. So.
Because honestly speaking, like I've just thought that you've always been running. Like I just thought that was your thing, because that's what it looks like when you see that person who's like, I'm running a 21K every single week.
Yeah. You think
that life. Because you see people at the gym and you're like, obviously you've always been gymming, not thinking that either they've just started or that there's been a process to it as well.
Yeah.
So how do you take on running? Like what is your training behind it? Actually, before we even tackle training, how many races have you run thus far? How many races would you say you've run since 2015?
Geez, that's a lot. I know in that year, which I said 12, I ended up doing 35.
Okay.
Which was obviously like a very extremist approach.
How did you do 35 races? I can't even do the maths.
How many?
But what was the distance? Was it like a 10K, a 21K?
The opening one was a 15K. Did that.
Okay.
Came back home, looked on the calendar. I was like, hey, if I've already got 1 out of the 12 medals, if I get 2 next week, then I can skip the next 2 months. So then I kind of went to the next week. Then I checked, hey, there's another one happening, and sort
you
of just
kept
like
on going. Do you feel like running is like an addiction?
It definitely is at some point. Like at that point, I was running every weekend, so it was more the cool vibe of you're at a race. Lots of people. Cape Town is cool because it's got like a fitness culture. So lots of people are coming to the races, and you get a medal at the end, and then afterwards, then you go for breakfast, or if it's like a trail run at a wine estate, then you can go drink wine. So it was more like very social and fun.
Yes.
But I wasn't training during the week. I would only run on weekends.
Okay.
So those 35 races was just literally you wake up on a Saturday, you run, and then during the week you're just taking it easy, chilling. Either maybe I would go to the gym or something, but I didn't run during the week.
Okay.
So it was very much social running. Yeah.
And then when did you start taking it a little bit more seriously?
So in 2017, eventually someone's like, hey, dude, you've been doing all these races. Have you thought about doing 2 Oceans, the Ultra? So
how far is that?
That's 56 Ks.
Obvious, so casual. Okay, and then?
So then that you can't just wake up and run.
Yeah.
Obviously your body's got some limits. And that's definitely a limit that you can't do.
Okay.
So then I joined up with one of my workmates. She's still there now. She used to be South African triathlete. And she basically, her and her husband were training for 2 Oceans and Comrades.
Okay.
And I just tagged along for the 2 Oceans training. So we'd run like midweek, you'd start doing like 2 runs during the week, and then on weekends you do long runs.
How long were those distances?
They started, midweek ones were about like between 10 and 15 Ks. And then the weekend ones, then you go 20 to 30, depending how close your race is. But then that actually started teaching me about like actual proper training for running and races and stuff, and getting yourself proper fit so that you can do like those 2 Oceans and everything.
So talk to me a little bit about that proper fit, because I feel like, I've done 121K race in my entire life. I've done, I think, about 4 10K races, and the 21K was hell. And my training was probably like the peak of my fitness. That's what I was saying, like take me back to high school. And like, yes, I'll join your little around the oval, because I was like, I'll do shot put, I'll do javelin, let me throw stuff. I'm not a runner. But now I'm like, Maybe I also want to update my social status profile to say I am a runner. Okay.
Yeah. You can.
But it's so fascinating because my training was obviously to run a shorter distance. I'd never run a 21K until I did a 21K.
Yeah.
It was always 5, 8. I think the furthest I'd run before the 21K race was a 10K.
Yeah.
And then I did it. But mentally it was like ridiculous. But coming back to the training side of things, like what is your typical training for a marathon or an ultra marathon, or because that's heavy.
Yeah. So the trick is it's actually quite simple. Is the distance you want to run on race day, over a week you want to run that distance.
Okay.
So your total mileage over a week should match or be above the distance you want to run on the day.
I like
so like right now, like on Sunday I ran a marathon now, which is 42 Ks. On my training sessions, I never ran 42 Ks. In fact, the longest I ran was a 30K early on in Jan.
Okay.
But then over a week, I'll do like a 10K, and on a weekend I'll do like a 25, and in total that comes up to like maybe 45 or 50 over a week. Because all you're trying to do is get your legs used to the running, get your legs used to the knock of just like hitting the road.
Okay.
And that doesn't have to be in one go. On the day is the only time you hit one go. So if you cut that out, say I want to do a 21K, then over a week you can do like 3 5Ks during the week and maybe a 10K on a weekend. And you're preparing yourself for a 21. Same thing if you go one lower, if you go for a 10K, someone just needs to run maybe like even a 3K, and then maybe a 5K.
Okay.
So it's that thing of like, hey, a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to go into a run, I'm going to do a marathon, I need to do a marathon in training.
Yes, yeah.
Never that.
Okay.
You just want to, and you also even run slower than you actually want to run on the day. It's even less about the speed you train at, but just about the mileage on the legs. Because the legs need to get used to like just being on the road for a long time. So a lot about running is consistency, and a lot about fitness is consistency.
And so tell me a little bit about when you're running and you're on the road. So you're talking about ultra marathons, we're talking about marathons, we're talking about half marathons, or even 5Ks, 10Ks. There's a mental component to it.
Yeah.
And this mental component is, I don't know what kind of pushes you, because at some point when you're running, so it's the longest race I've done, my 21K race. So I was on the road going first 7Ks, I was fine. I flourished in the area of my gifting and running. After the 7K, I slowed down. I think I walked the next 3Ks, picked it up, ran another, like I was good. Don't do the maths, I don't know what K I'm on right now. I do remember reaching a point where I couldn't, like everything was stiff. My knees were stiff and I have one bad knee. My body was stiff and I was tired. And physically I couldn't go any further. But the conversation in my mind was very important, going just keep 1K, just keep going. Or like walk 1K, run 1K. What are the conversations you have with yourself when you're on the road and you reach that? Do you often reach that breaking point? And if you do, what is the conversation you have that keeps you going?
Cool. So I think if you've done like ultra marathons and stuff, at some point you must have reached breaking point. Usually your first times doing that, so like first time doing a marathon after 30Ks is like foreign territory. So anything can happen and you will never forget those times.
Sure.
But definitely the main part I mentioned earlier, which was if you're consistently training and stuff, what happens is those barriers get pushed higher. So like now I'm kind of confident anytime someone comes and says, hey, let's go do a 21K. Like now, if you say let's go, we can just like go now.
I mean, right? I've got my training stuff upstairs.
But then also if you've been there before, right? So if you've done quite a number of like 10Ks or 21Ks, if you get to like 18K, you're like, okay, we've passed 18K before. So mentally you've passed that point. Yeah. But then an interesting thing about like when you hit that breaking point and you're in pain and everything, which I read about last year when I was sort of preparing for the Comrades and stuff, because I read a few running books, was that if you look at, I think that book used the example of a car. So when your fuel is running out, it will indicate that your tank's empty, but you still probably have like 20 or 30 more Ks to go using the reserve tank. So breaking point in your body is the body signaling that you know where we're heading is risky, but we're not there actually. Because I'm assuming you finished the 21K.
Yes, yeah.
But then you hit breaking point early and you thought you were done.
Yes.
Same thing with that. So a lot about like that book was trying to show like how far you can push your barriers as a runner. And a lot about that is in your mind now you need to know that, you know what, I'm feeling this pain, but technically I'm not done. Because when I'm done, I'll actually stop. Like I won't be able to move.
Yeah.
So while you ideally want to train enough so that you don't get like to those breaking points, I think for me at least now with the training and stuff, you should be able to run a marathon without feeling like, hey, I'm broken till the end. When it gets to more than a marathon, like the 56 and like obviously Comrades, maybe one day I'll get there where it's like, okay, I can just finish the whole thing and literally just like walk off. But then like the training boosts that breaking point further up. And then also just that knowledge that at some point it's now in the mind and you need to be able to control your mind to say, actually, you're sending signals that I'm in pain, but I should still be going. And also the funny thing about running, sometimes you hit a breaking point, you hit the cramps and everything, then you hit a second wind like 10 minutes later, you're like, where did all that pain
Once
go?
you
So
pushed
the body's
through
like
it,
recovered and then you just keep going on and on.
I had an epic mind moment when you said it's just your body is signaling to you that in the direction we're going, like it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And obviously your mind is always trying to protect you in whatever situation. So it's like, stop, it's enough now.
Yeah.
But when you push past that, I love that. When you push past that, you can go further. It's just your body's just trying to protect you. But you need to push past that point of protection in order to break the barriers of what your current personal glass ceiling is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mind moment of note.
Yeah, and then if you take that out of running, then you can take it anywhere else.
And that's exactly where we're going to next. I think it's the principles of running that you can apply. There's so many parallels of it in any area of your life, be it like your romantic life or your career or meditation, reading, whatever aspect of your life. You mentioned a couple of times that running is always about the consistency.
Yeah.
And by breaking those barriers. So you run the 5K, cool, I can do 5Ks. Can I do 7Ks? Okay, I can do 7Ks. Can I do 15? I can do 15. I didn't think, but you have to do the 5 before you can do the 21.
Yeah.
If you jump straight into the 21 without the training, you will crash.
Yeah.
If you dive head straight first into, I want to be, I don't know, the CEO of this glamorous company without the wisdom and the understanding the books or understanding how things actually operate on the ground, you're going to crash.
Yeah.
So...
And that's the thing. Like a lot of people will ask me, dude, how can I get into running? I'm trying to go do a 21K. They're trying to figure out how to do a 21K. But then the thing is they need to go and do a 2K. They need to go do 3Ks. Then they need to go do 5Ks. Try do 5Ks without walking. Maybe you finish it, but then you walk like 2Ks. Try finish it without walking.
Yeah.
And then over time you start building that confidence. You're like, oh, now I can run 5Ks without walking. Let me get into a 10K.
Stunning.
So it's actually gradual start and then build up and then it just peaks.
For you and your personal life, how have you seen the benefits of running be transcribed into your personal life?
So like a lot about running is literally a metaphor for life in itself. So starting and finishing something, right? So seeing things through, that's like, you see that in running. Finishing strong, that's like in running. Consistency in training, like you want to be consistent whatever you do. Same thing I say, small steps at a time. In fact, a marathon is 42 Ks, but then you go 1 kilometer at a time to get to the end. Same thing with life. Whatever you're doing, try and start a business. Let's just take the step that we're working on right now and move with it. Also, just like being in the zone alone while you're running helps you like solve a lot of problems and just like figure things out. So like a lot of my long runs, it's funny, like a lot of my long runs, whether if I had to like prepare for a wedding speech for a friend or prepare for a talk or something, I figured it out during a run, because then you're just like, what else can you do really, right? You're just like running, you can see obviously the Cape Town views, but then you're alone and then your mind is solo. So it's also like very much what other people get from meditation. You're technically meditating during your long runs. So I actually prefer long runs than like very quick 5Ks or 10Ks, because there you're very focused on your speed and time, and you don't get time to like zone out and like end up like in camps where you're like, oh, the last 10 minutes, where have I been? Yeah.
Wow.
But there's like a lot like from running, like even just you meet people along the journey while you're running a race that you don't know. Like I ran with guys this week and like for about 10Ks that I didn't know. You're literally like running the same pace. So one guy's next to you, one guy's next to you. You're going on, you're speaking, you're chatting. You're like, hey, let's not stop, let's go. And then after the 10Ks, you leave them, you go on.
Yeah.
And in life, along your journey in life, you meet like new workmates or new friends that go with you and push you along. And then eventually, like maybe you separate for whatever reasons. But like that's like again like a metaphor for life. So there's so much in there that it feels like a lonely sport, and it feels weird because it's not a team sport or anything. And for a lot of people, it's like, what am I doing? I'm just like running on the road. But then when you look back at it and translate it back into like life, it's actually helped out. And also in general, like you're fit, right, at the end. So it helps you with your energy at work. It helps you just like stay in shape and be healthy. Like it's one of those, like whether I discovered it by accident or whatever, it's probably one of the most beneficial things I have. And in times when I don't do it, like when I go for like a month, like obviously December hits you sometimes, you go for a month, you start to feel something is up. Like, why am I not feeling as energetic as I am usually? Why am I not like as fully happy as I am usually? And you're like, okay, there's that piece of fitness that's missing, or just like being on my runs and like going on.
Sure. Wow. Okay, so I've almost cried. I think I did cry in the last episode of the podcast, but I think there are 3 podcast episodes where I literally got super emotional. I think those are my mind moments, my soul mind moments. And that was now when you said running is like a metaphor for life, because literally there are people who have come in and out of my life it's like you start off wherever you start off, and people have come into my life for different reasons and different seasons. We've run certain distances together, they've left, they've started other races. I will always be on my own path, and that's why they say keep to your own, stay in your lane, focus on your lane, because people come in and out. But if you're focused and you're not trying to run other people's races, that is what's important, because what is meant for you is meant for you. But that is beautiful. And you forget that sometimes that people are running their own races. So you're like, why won't this person stick with me in my life? Or do I need to be with this person? Forgetting that they have their own life, they have their own dreams and their own goals. And people will come in and out. Some people will stop for water. Some people will stay at the watering hole because that's where it's comfortable for them. Some people will go for the chocolating place. That might be me. That's okay. But that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And of all sports, it's the only sport that I think you can utilize that metaphor for life in as well. Yeah.
And it's also one of the greatest things about running is it's one of the few sports where you can literally line up next to the pro runner and do the same event.
You are on the cusp of 30. So tell me, what has your 20s journey been? What has the last 9 years looked like and been for you? How would you summarize that?
Cool. So 20s, I think a lot about discovery, a lot of learning, and a lot of setting a foundation, I guess. A lot of fun. Okay. That's always important to add there. And discovery and experimentation, I guess, more around you get into your 20s, right? Almost just you're in varsity days, still close to just having left high school, and you end them when you've kind of like become an adult for years now, and you've figured out what this adulting thing is about. So there's a lot of like discovery and learning about, what is life actually about? What am I about? What do I enjoy doing? In my case, experimentation is like tried a lot of like different sort of business ideas on the side, tried a lot of like different work things and stuff. Not like worked for a lot of companies, but like what like technologies could I use in the software engineering world. And then around setting a foundation and working hard is just like made sure like I was always learning for my career and growing, so that like I have enough foundation to get to where I am now and to push on as you become like a bit older and senior and looked at as the older crew.
So sticking in the 20s journey, have you experienced the quarter life crisis? And what was your quarter life crisis? When was it? And how did you get out of it?
Cool. So quarter life crisis, I think everyone has a different one. And some people have much deeper ones. So I wouldn't necessarily say I felt like yes, so I need to restart everything. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I just need to like go to another country and just refresh or anything like that. Haven't had anything like super deep.
Okay.
Let me go like walk barefoot in India and come back and be like Steve Jobs after that.
Magical. Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of the times where I've had like sort of deep questions in my mind, it's been about sort of purpose. Like, am I really doing the stuff I enjoy doing? And am I sort of utilizing my full potential?
Okay.
So things around that. So, but I think that happens in phases for everyone. Like, even if you like work for the best company in the world or whatever, there'll always be a point or like maybe a week where you're just like feeling a little bit like, should I be somewhere else?
Yeah.
Or maybe like you meet a couple of us teammates who've just gone a little bit ahead. Like in the modern world, you can just like check on social media and people are like looking like they're moving faster and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I guess also is a lesson for our generation, patience and everything.
Yeah.
But if anything, those are sort of the things that have like made me think deeper and question things and like.
Okay. When did you start questioning your purpose and stuff?
I think like once you left university and started working, like.
Okay. So how
1 or 2 years.
How old were you around then?
You're like 23, 24. So you're like starting to ask like, am I doing sort of the things I want to do? Is this helping me for the long term? Would I really want to continue doing this for the rest of my life? And things like that. Okay. But a lot of it comes from an element of wanting to move faster and to get there much earlier. Like, I want to run my company now. I want to be a CEO. I want like to be up there, you know. But then you're actually learning key things at that stage, and you're not even ready anyway. And I think like I wouldn't think I'm the only one. I think everyone questions this, like, what am I here for, and what am I trying to achieve? You know, like constantly. And I think it's easy for people to say, there's that whole thing like, if you find what you enjoy doing, you never work a day in your life or something like that. But I think what people forget to tell people is like, finding what you enjoy doing is not like you walk into a room and you just find it. You know? Sometimes you need to try like a lot of different things, and some of them you fail at them, and like some of them you won't enjoy them, and then you drop them. But then along that journey of discovery, you might latch onto something. It's the same with running, right? I latched onto it, and literally, if that year maybe I hadn't set those goals, I probably wouldn't be running. It's like it's as simple as that, right? Like it could be, if I hadn't set New Year's resolutions that year, I may not be a runner, and my life would be completely different. So it's things like that, like just go and try things. Drop them if they're not working out, but then what you catch on that you enjoy, work with that and go with it.
So you've shared quite a bit about your journey, and you've shared quite a bit about running, which has also just created so many mind moments in my life, and also on your 20s journey. So I want to know 2 pieces of advice that you would give to someone in their 20s right now. And the first piece of advice I want to know is, holistically in your life, what advice you would give them, and holistically for people who want to start running, what advice would you give them?
All right. So people in their 20s, in their lives, well, I think for me, the most important thing, which I would also go with anyone, is being happy. It sounds very generic, but I think the root of that lies the rest of life. Like, if you are happy, then everything else across your life sort of like is stable and okay. So do things that make you happy. Search for things that will make you happy. Hang around people that make you happy. Because anyway, at the end of the day, that is, when I was talking about looking for purpose and everything, that is one of the main purpose, the sort of things you find is being happy.
And for people who want to start running, what advice do you have for them? Like someone who has never, so you've got your runners, but you've got someone who has never run a race before, and in their heart of hearts, they are a runner, and that's all they want to do. But they look at the runners on the road and they're just like, that could never be me. I'm not fit enough. I'm not skinny enough. I've never run a race in my life. I'm in my 20s and I never did cross country. So how do I get on the road? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so getting into running is 2 things. One is start small, and by small I mean small distances. literally 1 kilometer is okay. Whether you walk half of it and you just run the other 500 meters, then you go back home. Then you come back 2 days later and do the same thing.
Okay.
And then you slowly increase the distance. So start small, start slow. Over time, you will get fitter. That's the way our bodies are set up. If you do something consistently enough, you get better at it, you can do more of it. So start small, start slowly. I think that's actually the core. Then after that, you can like increase and like actually go for your first like 5 kilometer race and go on and on and on. And then like you mentioned, we chatted earlier, it's like run your own race. So don't look at Tanaka out there and say, you know what, that's his pace.
He's done 8 full marathons.
They're like, you know what, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to run at that pace. In the same way, I'm also not sitting there. If I also, because there's levels to this thing, everyone's running their race, right? There's people who are way better runners than me in Cape Town, a whole lot of people. And if I sat there and looked and said, you know what, I want to run these marathons in 2 hours, 50 minutes, I'll be breaking myself. That's not where I can be running it. That's nowhere near my level. So I just run where I am right now, and I'm challenging myself. Sure. Yeah. So
amazing.
Yeah. So and also running is simple. Put on a pair of shoes and you go run. It's the simplest sport ever. No complications.
You just need yourself.
And you decide where you want to run. So it's like probably the easiest sport. If you want to play football, you need to have multiple teams and you need to have goals and everything. But running, you wake up, put on your shoes, and you're on the road.
Thank you so much, Tanaka, for coming on to today's episode of the In My 20s podcast. And oh my goodness, there were so many mind moments and gem moments, and I had so many revelations on life throughout this entire episode. The parallels between life and running, the discipline between running and becoming a runner, and the discipline of things that you need to do in your life to better a certain aspect of your life. So some incredible news is we are also moving our home base from SoundCloud to Iono. And so we're also branching out in that aspect. And then in the next coming weeks, we're also going to be available on other platforms. So beyond iTunes and YouTube, we're looking at obviously Spotify and Google Play as well. So we cannot wait to see you on those platforms. So we will catch you same time, same place, right here on In My 20s. In my 20s. In my 20s, how old are you? I am 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 5, 10 kilometers, half marathon, full marathon, ultra. Yes, that's how we run. In our 20s, we are runners in our 20s.